Oh, hey, is that Dan or Sahani?
It's Daniel Fazina.
Hey, Dan.
No. No. It's 10 o'clock and I don't think Aaron's going to be here to start the meeting. I guess I can start us off.
Okay, take it away.
Well, thank you everyone for being here today on this lovely Saturday morning and spending your time inside to work on your public speaking skills rather than going outside and enjoying the weather. We're going to call the meeting to order, and to do that, I am going to start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would mute yourselves as you are saying the Pledge of Allegiance so everyone's not talking over me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you everybody. And now I'm going to turn it over to our president, Earl, to give us his announcements and updates.
Thank you, Tyler. So thing I want to talk about, I guess, is speech contests. So they're kind of, they feel like they're far away, but it's actually not that far. And considering we're going to be doing these virtual, they're going to require a little more work to get everything prepared. So the two categories that'll be in the contest for our district this year are international, which is a 5 to 7 minute speech on a topic of your choosing. And the second category is tall tales, which I'm told the district has never done before. So I'm not sure all the details on what that is. It's a 5 to 7 minute tall tale, I guess. So think about it. If you want to participate, start putting your speech together now. Tyler, we got to start planning for the speech contest. So you may want to poll people, just kind of get a feel for who would like to participate in as a contestant and who would like to help out as part of your team to run the contest.
Right.
Also, for those of you Zoom guys, I'm doing stuff for the district as well, so I'll need Zoom people to help out. And I think that's all I had. So we'll hand it off to our Toastmaster of the day, who is, as I look to the agenda, Ray.
Yes.
Take it away, Ray.
All right. We have two speakers, I believe. The first one's going to be Kittima, and the second one's Sahani. And that's you? Okay. All right.
It's confusing because your name that's being displayed says Daniel Fazina.
Also,
Right.
just as a note, we do need a general evaluator. Would anyone like to volunteer?
I can do that.
Ms. Vernell, okay. I'll
Thank
put
you.
you down as the general evaluator then. Thank you very much. I think that will fill all the roles. Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Tyler.
all right.
Okay. Sahani, for your speech, Earl is going to be the timer when you're speaking. And are you actually doing your first speech or your second speech? Because the form you emailed me was the first speech. Is this the first icebreaker? Can't hear you.
You're muted, Sonny. Oh, no, we can. She's not muted, but we can't hear you.
Would you like to
Ray, this is like her third speech,
third speech?
I believe.
Okay. All right. Second speech.
Oh,
Okay.
her second speech. Okay.
All right. I will just note that on here because the evaluation form is basically the same. So I will note that. All right. I don't think we need anything else, and I will turn control over to the general evaluator, or no, to Donnell to talk about his role as topics master.
Morning, everyone. I get the privilege of bringing some impromptu topics to you. You have 2 minutes to speak on this topic. You have 30 seconds to wrap it up. And that concludes my my role,
Okay, thank you.
or description of my role.
And now to go to our general evaluator, Burnell Curtis. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As your general evaluator, I will be reviewing the entire meeting. I will also be calling on my helpers to do their evaluations as well. The first person I will call on is the timer. Can you tell us your role?
Hi, can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Greetings, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. As the timer, I will time table topics, speakers' formal speeches, and evaluations. I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left using the green. Oh, you can't see green. Yellow or red, which denotes specific times remaining. For table topics, at 1 minute, I will raise the green card. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, I will raise the yellow card. At 2 minutes, I will raise the red card. Those giving speeches should limit their remarks to their specific speech times. Most other speeches should be 5 to 7 minutes in length. At 5 minutes, I will raise the green card. At 6 minutes, I will raise the yellow card. At 7 minutes, I will raise the red card. The individual evaluations should be between 2 and 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, I will raise the green card. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will raise the yellow card. At 3 minutes, I will raise the red card. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and Madam
you.
General Evaluator.
I will now go to listen up and awe, and that is Tyler.
Thank you very much, Vernell. I will be acting as your ah counter and listen up for today's meeting. That means I will be listening for your ahs, ums, so's, and basically the filler words that you use to fill your speech when you can't think of something. These are things that we as Toastmasters try and reduce in our speeches, and that's why we monitor how many ahs and ums you use. As a second role, I will also be acting as the listen up, which means I will be listening to the speeches for key points and then quizzing you at the end to see how well you listened. Back to you, Vernell. Thank you.
Now we're going to move on to our grammarian, Jess.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As the grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take note of any improper language as well as any what I like to call $5 words that jump out and grab my ears. Quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As the grammarian, it's also my duty to introduce the word of the day. Today's word of the day is multifarious, and I'll put it in the chat box. Multifarious means having or occurring in great variety. An example of using the word is Toastmasters is multifarious in the content of our meetings and in the benefits it can provide in both personal and professional life. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. I'll give the grammarian's report when called upon during the meeting and also report on the usage of the word of the day. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you for your report. We usually have a vote counter. Do we want to fill that role?
Mr. Reneld, I'm doing the vote counting today.
Okay,
So
thank you.
as the vote counter, it's important to recognize a job well done during our meetings when people speak. To that end, we'll be voting on the best speaker, which is for the best prepared speech, best table topic speaker, and best evaluator. So I'll be using the poll function within Zoom. So after the evaluators speak, I'll pop the poll up and then everyone can vote. And then I'll present the results at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Ms. Renaud.
True. Thank you to all my helpers. Now I will release the meeting back to our Toastmaster of the day, Ray.
Thank you, Vernell. The first speaker is Kidma B. I'm not going to try to say your last name. She's on the path of innovative planning. The title of the speech is The Caged Monster. It's 5 to 7 minutes. This speech is an exercise in connecting with the audience members. Miss Kidma.
Tall, stealthy, with sharp, hideous fangs and sharp claws, skin as green as emeralds. He attacks you when you least expect it. You're talking to your neighbors, your friends, your coworkers. He jumps at you and pulls you down. You can't breathe. You try to escape as best as you can, but there's no way out. Who is this monster that I'm talking about? It's not the Hulk. It's not Godzilla. It's not even the Wicked Witch of the West. Who is this green-eyed monster? Today, I will be talking to you about envy. Envy, our own worst personal enemy. What is it? Why does it exist? And some techniques to help keep this monster at bay. First, let's not mix up envy with jealousy. Jealousy is a negative emotion where you fear losing something you already possess. Envy, a negative emotion where you feel inferior because you are lacking something that someone else possesses. Jealousy, losing something. Envy, lacking something. Who are we most envious of? It's not Bill Gates, whose brain is so heavy than all the books we've ever read. It's not LeBron James, whose athletic abilities far outshines the 50 push-ups you can do. It's not these people whose stars are way above us that we're most envious of. The people that we are most envious of are people that are most like us. Our best friends, our neighbors, our coworkers, our family. These people we see as our equals have achieved something that is attainable, yet not attained by us. Why does this exist? This negative feeling. Evolutionarily, it made sense for man to be socially competitive. Those highest in the social ladder were seen as successful and attractive. So, we wanted to be just as high and get those mates too, if we could. Unfortunately, it had negative effects. The depression, unworthiness, anger, because we can't get to this high status, it made us feel low. Two types of envy. One is benign envy, which results in self-motivation. You see someone walking in a pair of shoes, you want to be in those pair of shoes, you work hard and you get them. Versus malicious envy, you see those shoes, you try to steal them because it results in revenge and trying to knock someone down a rung or two. Not exactly the most honorable way to go. So we should always try to aim for benign envy. How do we work on this constructive type of envy? It's all in the state of mind. Change the way that you see and feel so that you can build up on yourself. 7 pieces of advice. First, stop comparing yourself to other people. In this day and age, social media is everywhere. We should just get rid of it. You're going to be looking at Facebook, scrolling through, and you're like, oh my gosh, this person has so many beautiful qualities that I don't have. But that person is filtered, they are airbrushed, and it's only a small snippet in their lifetime compared to your huge lifetime. So it's not reality. 2, admit that you have envy. It may even be useful for you to go up to the person you feel envious of and let them know. That way, it's out in the open. And you will realize whether it's a positive or a negative emotion. And if it's negative, you could flip it and it'll turn into something positive if you could do it. 3, go up to the person and compliment them in their success. You may get to know them and learn that they're humans, and there probably is no reason for you to be envious. 4, learn from them. Be inspired by someone else's success. What steps did they take to get up here? You can learn from them and take the same steps as them. 5, remember, someone else's success does not detract from your own. Whatever they succeed at isn't going to limit your ability to aspire just as high. 6, have gratitude for what you already own. It could be something you possess. It could be a quality. It could be your achievements. Those are all things that can be appreciated. 7, and last, have faith and love in yourself. Know that you're a successful person, that you can achieve as much as anyone else. Envy. Although this emotion, this deadly sin, this monster is deep inside of all of us, it can be kept at bay. Learn to acknowledge, learn to destroy it as best as you can. Change your state of mind, and you can keep this monster caged. Thank you.
Thank you, Kittima. What an interesting speech. Earl, you remember you're going to be timing Sahani. Okay, thank you. The second speaker is Sahani Howie. She's in the motivational strategies. She's on level 1. It's evaluation and feedback. Do it scared, 5 to 7 minutes. Let's welcome Sahani.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? We're always told that fear is something to be discarded or overcome. But what if we used it to propel us? Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, let me tell you about this time I achieved unfathomable results because of unfathomable fear. I grew up in the concrete jungle, also known as New York City. There were more yellow cabs than there were trees, and the rats were as big as cats. Wildlife was what you found in the nightclubs of the Greenwich Village, and we had a unique set of survival skills. But every summer, our high school would bus several students into the pine forest of Fort Dix, New Jersey, so we could experience a different kind of jungle and learn a different kind of survival skills as part of an Army Junior ROTC summer boot camp. We would spend 6 weeks with 30-pound rucksacks on our back doing road marches, camping for the first time, working in teams to overcome obstacle courses, and navigating the pine forest of Fort Dix, New Jersey in an orienteering challenge. all for the glory of a medal or a ribbon or the coveted cord that you would adorn your uniform with when you headed back home, letting the whole school know you had done something nobody else had done. Orienteering was probably the most dreaded and difficult course to achieve a medal or a cord in. This required that you and a battle buddy would pair up with a topographical map. You know, the maps that have concentric circles and a grid line and no names? Yeah, one of those maps. There were 20 checkpoints hidden throughout the pine forest that you had to go with your battle buddy and mark off on your log sheet. You would be equipped with your trusted battle buddy, your topographical map, a compass, a log sheet, and a whistle. And so the team that would come in with the fastest time with all 20 points would get the coveted cord. The next 5 teams would get an itty bitty tiny ribbon. And the rest of the teams, nothing but frustration and exhaustion and maybe the humiliation of having to be rescued. But as the Rangers reminded us during our safety briefing, getting lost was not the only thing you needed to be scared of. There were coyotes and bears and river snakes. But don't worry, there were rangers hidden throughout the woods. And if you got yourself into trouble, you blew your whistle and help would get to you, hopefully. And they would remind us, as long as you left the wildlife alone, they will leave you alone. Again, hopefully. This was my second year at ROTC summer camp, and I got paired with Devin Guerrera as my battle buddy. She was awesome. No drama, strong, and fearless. After our safety briefing, the whistle blew for it to start, and we took off like rockets. Memory served us well in some of the early areas of the course, and we quickly separated from the pack, and we knew we were one of the lead teams. The area of the woods was thick, dense with pine trees and fallen tree branches, multifarious pine needles and trees and foliage that we had never seen before. The sun was now starting to set and was filtering dimly through the trees, making it harder to see. And we were traversing back and forth between the edges of the riverbank, trying to find this last point. And we could hear another team frustratedly talking on the other bank as well. And then suddenly I spotted it, Eureka! It was on a small little delta as the creek divided, but it was on such a high muddy bank on either side, 3 or 4 feet tall, that unless you stood right on top of it, you could miss it so easily. So I jumped down and slid down the muddy bank, crawled over this log, got to the marker point only to realize I didn't have the log sheet. Devin did. And Devin was standing on the bank, just frozen, still. So I turned around and I whisper yelled at her, "What the hell, Devin?" And she's climbed up, got the log sheet from her, climbed over this log, slid down the bank again, and slipped and marked my paper. Turned around only to see now Devin was still on the bank, but this time she had the whistle at her mouth. "Devin, what are you doing? She's gonna hear us." I whisper yelled again, and now I'm angry. I'm muddy and mad, and I crawled up the bank, and I'm about to stomp my foot on this log for emphasis when I realize that is no log at all. A nearly 5-foot river snake was sunning itself. It was the diameter of my thigh. Needless to say, I started screaming at the top of my lungs. And all of a sudden, Devin found her voice as well. We screamed and ran back to base camp, fear propelling us to achieve a time that was not beaten for several years. In fact, several years after I graduated high school, my lieutenant colonel called to let me know someone finally beat your time. I doubt that I could have ever set that record had it not been terrified, but fear propelled me to a pillar of success that was unfathomable. And this is the idea and the premise behind Ruth Sokop's TED Talk, New York Times bestseller, and the Do It Scared movement. The concept of not just overcoming your fear that's keeping you stuck, but using that fear as a motivating force. So fellow Toastmasters and guests, I challenge you to ask yourself, what scares you? What's stopping you from taking a risk, and how can you use it to propel you forward? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sahani. It's a very interesting story. And now I'd like time to welcome two new people, Jessica Waddell and Lois Green. If you'd like to care to introduce yourselves and tell us how you found us.
Hi there. So I am a nurse practitioner. I work with some cardiology specialists here in Virginia Beach, and Michelle Gideon, who's also on, actually introduced me to this. So I'm kind of just learning what this is all about, but basically I was giving a presentation about a month ago, and I was telling her how nervous I was about it. And she said, you know, I belong to this. I've been participating in this group called Toastmasters. You may find it beneficial. So that's why I'm here. So thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Lois Green, how did you find us and why are you here?
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Lois Green, and I am from New York City. I'm a member of the National Society of Leadership and Success. And as a member, I was, encouraged to be part of a networking program, any networking event that would help me with public speaking and just networking and meeting people from around the world, the nation. So I kind of like just searched on the internet, just searching, and I found this organization. This whole event that we're in now. So it's interesting, and I'm here to learn, and I hope I learn a lot today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, it is time to introduce the topics master of the day, Donnell.
Good morning again. I'm going to present a multifarious of topics for you to choose from, just so our guests know you are able to participate in this as well. And you'll have, again, 2 minutes to just talk about the subject that I present you. Do I have a volunteer? Can't see anybody raising their hands.
I'll volunteer.
All right, Tyler. Choose a number 1 through 10.
3.
3. Okay, explain 3 uses for a pencil besides writing.
Aha, you see the common pencil right here. A pencil is a wonderful instrument made of wood, graphite, and a rubber eraser on the end. What is it great at for other things other than writing, though? Writing is its main use, but people don't realize that it's a wonderful tool with many different uses. First, the most obvious one, which I don't think I would even count, is it's good at erasing. It's unwriting. The second thing you can do with a pencil is actually use it as a voltage divider. If you hook up a battery to the pencil and then you place 2 leads at different lengths along the pencil, let's say you put a 12-volt battery across the entire length, and then you go from here to here, you'll get about 6 volts. So that's the first usage. The second usage is you can use it as a weapon and stab somebody with it. Though that's a tool, that's something that's common with every tool, I guess. A third thing is you can use it to start a fire. It's wood, it's dry, and if you take a match to it, you can start a fire. Those are my 3 suggested methods on how you can use a pencil for things other than writing. Thank you very much, Danelle.
Very good, Tyler. Do I have another volunteer? Jess. Okay, choose a number between 1 and 10, other than 3, please.
I'm gonna say 5.
5. All right.
Okay.
You're a salesman. Try selling us the shirt you have on.
Okay. Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My name is Jess, and I'm here to tell you about this shirt that I have on right now. And I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should purchase this shirt. Not mine, a shirt like it. This one is not for sale. So the shirt that I have on right now, I'm not sure if you can read it. It is in Disney font, yet it is a Star Wars themed shirt. When you wish upon a Death Star. The first reason that you should purchase the shirt like this is it speaks to Disney fans. You see the font, you see the whole wonderful world of Disney theme. That's uplifting for anybody. Everybody loves Disney. The second reason is that it's a wonderful color of robin's egg blue, which is good for your morale during the day. It's a very uplifting color. It's attractive on most people. The third reason is Star Wars. Enough said, right? The fourth reason is for people who have a wry sense of humor. Disney is uplifting, but then you have the added element of a Death Star for for those of us who have a little bit of a twisted sense of humor. It's very fitting. And the fifth reason is it's a fantastic conversation starter. Every time I wear this shirt, somebody says something about it, I get compliments about it, and then I meet new people and I make friends and they know I have awesome taste. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the 5 reasons why you should purchase a shirt like this. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Thank you.
Outstanding. I didn't think you can come up with 5. That's good. Okay, I can't see everybody, but do I have another volunteer? Again, guests, you can participate.
Numbers 1 and 2 are still left.
Let's see.
Donnell, I'll go.
All right.
Number 2.
Number 2. All right. Explain 3 different ways you can eat an Oreo cookie.
3 different ways to eat an Oreo cookie. The way that I like to eat them personally is the classic method of twisting the cookie apart, eating the filling, and then throwing the cookies away. Next, you can just eat it like a savage and put the thing in your mouth. Or you can do the reverse of the first method, which is to separate the two halves. You can scrape off, use one cookie to scrape the filling off the other, and then just eat the cookies. It all depends on your personal taste. Some people like the cookies, some people like the filling, some people like the combination of the two. So it also depends on my mood, whether I want to eat the filling and not the cookies, or the cookies and the filling, or the cookies without the filling. It also depends on what you have to drink. A glass of milk really is a complement to any of those choices. And that's 3 ways to eat an Oreo cookie. Mr. Topics Master.
I have to say that I eat it like a savage, and I will dip it in some almond milk as well. All right, so that's 3. Do we have another volunteer? Okay, going once.
Jim put his hand up.
I'm sorry, who did?
Jim.
I'll go.
Okay, all right. Jim? All right, choose the topic 1 through 10. 2, 3, and 5 are taken.
Today is the 7th, so I'll go 7.
All right. Explain which came first, the chicken or the egg.
Now that, I must say, is an interesting question. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, or excuse me, Table Topics Master. Well, it's an interesting question because you would think, okay, at first you'd say the chicken because the chicken would have to lay the egg. But then you would think, wait a second, how did the chicken get here without the egg? So you have this dilemma that you are saying, okay, now did the chicken all of a sudden just poof appear millions and millions of years ago and you have no idea? It was just one day you just, the first person woke up and said, wow, there's a chicken? Or did you have an egg that came from somewhere and you had this hatched from an egg? I like to think of it as one day Adam was sitting by the fire and he was hungry. And he said to the Lord, Lord, I'd like to have something to eat. And the Lord said, your will shall be done. And so next thing you know, poof, there's a chicken. And then all of a sudden, the next day, Adam again said, I'd like to have something to eat. And so the Lord said, no problem. And the Lord spoke to the chicken and said, okay, lay an egg. So there's the egg. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Outstanding. Anyone else? All right, I will turn it back over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Donnell. Now we're coming to that time of the meeting that we get feedback on our presentations. Miss General Evaluator Vernell Curtis.
Good morning again, fellow Toastmasters, and especially to our guests. I am the General Evaluator. My role is to evaluate the entire meeting, and I will be calling on my helpers in order to do that. This has been a great meeting so far, truly multivariate between the speeches and the table topics. Let's begin with our evaluators. Oh, our first speech was from, who was our first speaker?
Kidema.
Kidema. And her evaluator is Michelle.
Yes. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I had the pleasure of evaluating Kidema, my mentee, this morning, and she gave us a speech titled Caged Monster. The objective of her speech was to speak about something that was unexpected or unfamiliar that would keep the audience engaged. She discussed what is envy and the difference between envy and jealousy. And I was surprised to learn about who we are most envious of or jealous of. Kidema, you did a brave thing by standing, because it's something new that some of us are trying to do since we're not in person anymore. So it can be challenging to stand while you're on camera. I think you did a good job with that. You used your space well. You had hand movements, and your hand gestures coincided with what you spoke of when you talked about things going to different levels. You moved your hands around to match what you were talking about. And your vocal variety tended to actually go in tempo with your gestures and what you were talking about. So that was done really well. Your comfort level, I would say, is medium to high. It's pretty good, and it's hard to be comfortable in front of the camera because this is so new to us. The topic was interesting, and it, at least from my perspective, it grabbed our attention because you started talking about something that was choking you, green all over you, and I was thinking it was going to be about a real monster, and it wasn't, but it grabbed our attention from the beginning. Something that I would challenge you to do next time, to challenge yourself, is to include a personal story. I think that that would probably be the only thing I would have changed or done differently. We all know how stories can help us connect with our audience and topic, and maybe hearing about a story with a coworker or somebody you're related to would have rounded it out. But overall, I think you did a very good job. I look forward to your next speech. And once again, for timing purposes, the things that you did well today: vocal variety was good, your eye contact, your use of your space, which can be quite challenging on camera. And you had a very interesting topic that we all, from, at least from my perspective, were engaged in, and it was interesting. So thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Michelle. We will now go to our second speaker, and her evaluator is Ray.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Sahani, you seem to be a great natural storyteller, and you're really ripe for growth. The whole story built up and explained why it was a challenge for you. You had great drama in there when you said you didn't understand why this person wasn't functioning until you got up there, and what you thought was a log was a river snake. Having seen river snakes, I don't know if I've ever seen one that big, but I guess, you know, Fort Dix is kind of a wild place. But you definitely impressed the speed that you and your partner returned to the starting line, in that it existed for several years before you got a call from the people who ran the course that someone finally beat your time. So that was an interesting aside. You used facts to emphasize the story climax. And something that you may want to work on is some of the stuff at the beginning of the story, even though I think you thought it was very important. If you had just said, you know, we were bussed out there to do a survival course, and that's basically what it was. You were finding markers and going from place to place, not just as an exercise, but if you were put in that position, could you survive? And, you know, make it a little bit more interesting. Because I don't think people who grow up in cities really appreciate nature or woods or forests. I grew up in a very strange city in that we had a whole forest inside the city because it was a university town too. So it was very weird. To challenge yourself, I think looking at your whole speech, if you would have whittled down the beginning part that you talked a lot about being in the city and being bussed out, if you could have shortened that to maybe 1 or 2 sentences so that you could fill with the background of where you went to and what you did, that would have been better development. And I know I do a lot of stories myself. And after you get done with the story, you go, yeah, I could have cut to the chase a lot quicker than I did. So from personal experience, yeah, I got a lot of those evaluations. So that's the one thing I'm going to remind you of. And it's not a negative thing. It's just, it's how you learn to develop a better story. So thank you. Great story. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you for your evaluation. We will go now to the timer. Timer report.
Sorry.
That's okay.
All right. Madam Toastmaster, General Evaluator, Toastmasters, and guests. Today we had prepared speeches by Kidema and myself. Who was doing the timing for me again?
Earl.
So Earl, what was my actual time?
You're right at 7 minutes.
All right. And Kidema did awesome. She was at 6 minutes and 40 seconds. For the table topics, Tyler came in at 1 minute and 35 seconds. Jess came in at 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Earl came in at 1 minute and 10 seconds. And Jim came in at 1 minute and 54 seconds, answering the proverbial question of which came first, the chicken or the egg. Michelle, your evaluation report came in at 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And Ray, your evaluation came in at 3 minutes and 9 seconds. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and General Evaluator.
Thank you. Our grammarians report.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today was awesome in terms of words. I love words and I was so excited to make all these notes. So let's start off with our word of the day, multifarious. It was used thrice. So we had Sahani, Donnell, and then Vernell holding up the back end with our multifarious word of the day. Kidema's speech was ripe with good words. She started off right at the beginning with her analogy of her caged, stealthy, green-skinned monster choking her, which pulled me in right away. The skin green as emeralds really helped me visualize what she was talking about, and also kind of spoke to, although it's a monster we're talking about, it's beautiful, right? Green as emeralds. As Michelle noted, she differentiated between the two words envy and jealousy, which is important. And then went on to further describe envy, describing the difference between benign or motivational envy and malicious envy. She also made a reference to envy as a deadly sin, which I think speaks to many, many people. Sahani's speech, she used lots of good vocabulary words, discarded, propel, unfathomable, made a reference to the wildlife in the nightclubs of Greenwich Village. Also used the word rucksack, which I had a little nerd moment about, because I really like words that are based on other languages. And rucksack is actually the Russian word for backpack. So I thought that was pretty sweet. She made a reference to coveted cord for the uniform and used a bunch of $5 geography words. So topographical map with concentric circles, delta, traversing. I love those words, eureka. And then we had not one, but two instances of onomatopoeia today. We had Sahani and her, and then we had Jim with his poof, with the chicken and the egg. So it got me super excited. And then we had Tyler coming in, opening our eyes to pencils as wonderful instruments. And then I also
don't forget the weapons.
And weapons as well. And then finally, the last word I noticed right there at the end was when Ray was giving her evaluation, she used the word as an aside instead of side note, which I thought was concise and appreciated the use of the word. So overall, lots of wonderful, oh, and savage, eating Oreos like a savage. So overall, fantastic use of the English language today. Good job, everybody.
Thank you. And now we will move to Tyler for our Listen Up and Awe.
Hello, everybody. Today we did pretty well on our ahs and ums. Kittima, I only noticed that you repeated words twice. You repeated the, and there when you were thinking about what to say. Sahani used twice and twice, but this is only during her timer evaluation part. She didn't have any filler words in her speech. Ray, when she was giving her evaluation, she had a few so's and ands and uhs. Jim, I noticed 4 uhs. And Michelle, I noticed a so and an and. People are starting off their sentences with so and. That's not a very powerful way to start a sentence. If I were to start a sentence with, so I was at the store, you can just say, I was at the store. You don't have to say, so I was at the store. That was something I saw a couple times happening today. For our listening exercise, what is the difference between envy and jealousy?
Jealousy has to do with losing something, and envy has to do with something that you don't have.
Yeah, that someone else has.
Right. And what makes envy malicious? Anyone? No?
Stealing? You want to steal what somebody has?
Yeah. When you're envious, you want to do something malicious to take it away from somebody or to get it for yourself. What did Sahani call her assistant in the orienteering challenge? There was a special word for it.
Battle buddy.
Battle buddy. That's right, Jess. And how big was the snake that Sahani almost stepped on?
Big as her thigh.
Big as her thigh, that's correct. And what is on Jess's shirt? You can't see it right now.
Death Star.
The Death
Death Star. That's right. And what is the savage way to eat an Oreo?
Whole.
Just shove it in your mouth.
So just eat it normally. That's the savage way. I don't understand it. That concludes my listen up portion. I hope you all enjoyed. I will turn it back to Vernell for the rest of her evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Now, as the general evaluator, it's my role to evaluate the entire meeting. It was an excellent meeting. We began on time. The table topics was outstanding. It all gave us something to think about as what we can do when it's our turn to be table topics master. The speeches, we went over it thoroughly between the grammarian and the listen up and ah. Congratulations to both of you for your speeches today. I'd like to welcome, of course, our two guests. I hope you enjoyed it and that you will come back and see us again or join us. I don't know what else I could say in order to improve our meeting, perhaps with the timer, not to use a virtual background. Jess stepped up and helped us out with the color coordination. We appreciate that. It was just as we always do at PG, help one another. Thank you for a great meeting. I look forward to seeing everyone at their next meeting. Table Topics Master, you outdid yourself, and I'll turn it back over to the Toastmaster of the day.
As Toastmaster, Earl, have you sent out the vote?
I have not. Tyler, why don't you go ahead and plan for the next meeting and I will throw the poll up.
Tyler, take it over for the next meeting.
All right, we will start and, oh, it just popped up for me, the vote. We will start by figuring out who we want to be for the Toastmaster of the day. This meeting is going to happen on November 21st. Who would like to be the Toastmaster for a November 21st meeting?
I will do it. Jess?
Jess has volunteered. All right.
Tyler, I would like to be Table Topics.
Okay. I'll put you down, Ray. Oh gosh, where's that? There you go. Okay, Ray as the Topics Master. Who wants to be our general evaluator for the day? Anybody? I feel like volunteering, so I'll do it myself. And the grammarian and word master, who wants to pick a fun word of the day?
You can put me down, Tyler.
Earl, all right. Who wants to count all the uhs and ums?
I can do it.
Kidima? Okay, who's not gonna have a virtual background and wants to be the timer? Michelle, would you like to do it?
I will be flying to San Diego while you're having your next meeting, so no, thank you.
Got it. All right, so timer.
I might be out of town as well, but you can put me down just in case. You can always switch it.
All right. And vote counter, who wants to send out the poll? Or can anybody do that, Earl?
If they're set up, only one person can set up the poll, but anyone with privileges, elevated privileges, can execute the poll.
So you have to give them elevated privileges then.
Right.
Okay, so anybody can do it.
Yep.
Yep.
Earl, I can do it.
Okay.
Okay. So Jess will be the Toastmaster of the day and the vote counter. Though it seems like the vote counting is a lot easier on this platform than in person.
Yeah.
Do we have any speakers that would like to go next meeting?
I will give a speech.
Okay, Vernell, I'll put you down.
You can put me at backup, please.
Okay.
I'm gonna have one ready by then.
Okay.
Jess, you're going to be giving a speech? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Toastmaster of the day, vote counter, and speaker.
Look, I'm multifarious. I came in hot.
All right, it's your funeral.
Tyler, you can put me down first.
Okay, I'll put Ray down. Anyone else? Once, twice. Gone. We have Vernell, Jess, and Ray as speakers with a backup of Danelle. Who would like to evaluate Vernell?
I vote Brandon. He's not here.
Let's do it.
That's also what I was thinking, is some of the people that aren't here may email in and say that they want to roll or something like that.
Okay. Who would like to evaluate Jess? Anybody?
How about Sean?
We can do Sean.
If no one volunteers, let's voluntold the ones that aren't here, and then they can battle it out.
Okay. I feel like doing an evaluation, so I'll put myself down. And then, does anybody want to evaluate Danelle? I can put down Aaron.
A high sign from Michelle.
Oh, Michelle's going to be, no, she's.
No, I'm saying,
thumbs up
yeah,
and goes.
Aaron missed 2 meetings. He has to pay the price.
Yeah. All right, so we have our agenda for November 21st, 2020 at 10 a.m. Our Toastmaster of the day will be Jess, Topics Master Ray, General Evaluator Tyler, Earl as the grammarian, Kidima as the odd counter, Danelle as the timer, and Jess as the vote counter. We'll have Vernell, Jess, Ray, and Danelle speaking, and Brandon, Sean, Tyler, and Aaron evaluating. That completes it, and I will turn it over to Earl to give us the results of our vote.
Did you have something, Ray?
Yes, I'd like to ask our guests how they enjoyed the meeting. Jessica? How did you enjoy the meeting?
I thought this was interesting. I wasn't really sure what to expect before logging in. So I've kind of slowly, and Michelle's been kind of messaging me, kind of explaining some things in the background of what's taking place. And I see how this could be very beneficial to help with public speaking. And so I plan on trying to join more. I didn't participate or pick up anything for the next one because I'm not sure if I'm going to be in town either. So, but I hope if I am, I will certainly call in and listen in again so I can become more comfortable. But this is great. So thank you, Michelle, for opening this opportunity for me.
Mm-hmm. And now, Miss Lois Green, how do you see this?
It was awesome. I enjoyed it. Even though I'm looking at the structure, and I think you guys have a really good structure here. I'm trying to understand the roles as you go, the responsibilities of the Toastmaster. I love the whole idea of the grammarian, Jess, and the way how she gave her feedback. I think it was really exciting to really learn. It is a learning experience. The structure here, I am amazed by the structure of it all. And I would like to participate more because I would like to learn more about the roles. And I think the speeches were pretty good. I didn't get a chance. I was struggling to get on at the beginning, so I didn't get a chance to hear the first person. I only heard like half of it about the NV story, and I did hear the second person, which was really good storyteller. But I would like to be able to visit again because I would really like to understand more about the structure and the roles that it is. But it's a good learning experience. Thank you so much. I'm glad I actually did sign up.
Okay, thank you. All right, Earl.
So for Ms. Jessica, Ms. Lois, just for your knowledge, a typical meeting usually consists of 3 main parts. So prepared speeches, those are speeches that members give to meet an educational goal. Table topics is just speaking off the cuff, and then evaluation. So for each prepared speech, we assign an evaluator, and their job is to give feedback on that person's speech. And then each meeting also has several different roles that people fill to help us remind us about our grammar, about using filler words, and also to make sure we're listening. If you guys if you type your email addresses in the chat, I can send you some information that talks a little bit more about the meetings. And I'm also going to hang out a little bit afterwards if you have any questions that you want answered. Also, I neglected to point out that our guest, Jim Kennedy, is our area director. So our club is part of Area 55, which is part of Division E, which is part of District 66, which is part of Region 7, which is part of Toastmasters. So Jim has 4 or 5 clubs that he oversees in our area, and he's just checking in on us to make sure we're doing okay. Jim, do you have anything you want to share?
Well, you pretty much covered it. For our guest, one of the things that happens, just like Earl had said, I'm an area director. I'm also a member of a club in another area. But what I do is, what I'm doing today is I'm doing what's called an official area visit. One of the things that we like to do, and I think you mentioned the structure, most Toastmasters clubs are run in a similar way. There are obviously differences, but they're run in a similar way. But one of the things that we do is we do area reports that I talk about with Earl and the president. I will share what my findings are, and we talk about just a little bit like what the evaluators did on the prepared speeches, what the club does well, how it can improve, and maybe some ways to challenge itself, and think of things and look at things from an outsider's perspective. So that is what I'm doing. But Earl, no, you know that I'm pretty transparent. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You know that we'll discuss it just like I said before. So not a problem. But as for the rest of you, thank you very much for having me. And I did enjoy the participating in table topics, especially the chicken and the egg. I got to admit, Donnell, that one threw me. Thank you.
Okay, now for our voting. Ta-da! So our best speaker today is Sahani. Best table topics goes to Jess, and best evaluator goes to Michelle. Congratulations, guys. Everyone did a great job today.
Earl,
Oh, yes. Michelle has an announcement.
I wanted to mention that New Beginnings is having their club contest this coming Tuesday. It's kind of like a practice club contest so that some best practices can be taken, or takeaways can be developed for the upcoming virtual club contest time that we have. So if any of you would like to attend the club contest and as a visitor on Tuesday, maybe myself or Earl can send an email out to the club with the Zoom link so that we all can see how this goes.
Thanks for reminding me. I forgot about that completely. So this was a great meeting. I appreciate everybody calling in. Does anyone have anything else? Oh, okay, thank you, everybody. Make sure you go outside and enjoy the sun. Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah. So Miss Jessica or Miss Lois, do you have any questions?
So this is
Right.
one. Oh, I'm sorry, Lois.
No, it's okay. You can go. I'll ask after. Go, Jessica.
No, as far as the format, so is this basically an online virtual meeting once a month?
We meet twice a month on the first and third Saturdays.
Yeah, it would be twice. Okay.
If we ever get to meet in person again, we'll probably do some sort of hybrid thing where we have a live meeting, but also have an online component.
I had a question about the roles. I was trying to try to follow with what was given there. So you have a Toastmaster. Is
right.
That is the facilitator?
Right, for the meeting, yes.
Right. And then you have a topic master.
They generate the ideas or questions for the table topics portion of the meeting.
And then you have evaluators, and I noticed that there are a lot of evaluators.
Right.
So are those like the three main roles that you have? Like you either have to be the Toastmaster, the topic master, an evaluator. I was trying to follow Tyler as he was asking for the next meeting, but I got a little lost there because there were like so many different pieces. Can you kind of like go over the evaluation piece of it?
Right. So we have somebody who is sort of the general evaluator, whose job it is to evaluate the meeting as a whole. You have somebody who watches for everyone's grammar usage to make sure they're speaking correctly. You have somebody who listens for the use of filler words, because a lot of times we have this tendency to say when we're figuring out what we want to say. So somebody looks out for those instances, and they also takes notes on everyone's speaking and sort of quizzes us at the end to make sure we're all listening. And see, I just did it. And then we have the evaluators, whose job it is specifically to give feedback on prepared speeches. Yeah. So I'll send you a sheet that talks about the meeting, and it'll break down the roles a little bit.
In the beginning,
And you said, sorry, you said that the meetings are twice a month, the first Saturday and the third?
Yes.
Okay.
In the beginning of every meeting, each of the people with their roles will introduce themselves and say what they are going to do at the meeting. That's something you missed. The topics master, or no, the Toastmaster of the day, who organizes the meeting, will introduce everybody in sequence, and they will explain their roles. So it's a bit easier to understand and helps people from getting lost in the beginning.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, not from me.
Are you guys
I
ready?
have to go, but bye. And I'll talk to everybody later, okay?
Bye-bye.
Are you guys ready to join now?
I think it would be good to actually see another, to be
Right.
part of another meeting before. Is there like a specific procedure to be a member, or you just show up like all the time?
Yeah, well, you do have to register with Toastmasters International, and then there's a small fee.
Oh, okay.
We don't limit the number of meetings that you can come to before, so you can come as often as you want as a guest.
If it makes you feel better, I totally stalked them for several meetings before I actually joined. And then when you join Toastmasters International, there's a website with modules that really guides you through all the topics and the speeches and the roles and stuff like that. It's very well organized, and this group of individuals is very helpful. Don't tell them I said that, because then your heads don't fit on the green screen.
Has this been beneficial for you all in some shape or form as far as public speaking is concerned?
Absolutely.
Very much so. So I'm in a leadership role in my professional life, and I speak all the time, but my comfort level was always like, I'm kind of afraid to speak, especially since I work with a lot of military folk, and they're, very high ranking people. But now I'm like, I have no trouble speaking up. Whereas before I would kind of just be very hesitant to speak out, but it's been very helpful for me personally.
And it's also helpful in any role that you participate in, whether it's in your church or in your community or even at home, because the evaluation portion of how we evaluate helps you to draw more enthusiasm in your home life, I think.
From my perspective, the biggest benefit that Toastmasters has for me is the ability to practice. And not only do you get the ability to practice, you also get feedback on your practice, which is something you'll never get when you're giving a presentation at work, for instance.
Right.
You'll maybe get a couple attaboys or you did a great job, but compliments only boost confidence, whereas feedback will help boost your skills. And that's really what Toastmasters is about, is building your skill.
I wanted
Earl,
to ask a question to sorry, Jim. I wanted to ask a question to Sahani because she gave the speech and then there was an evaluation. So Sahani, how do you feel about the evaluation afterwards? I mean, how does that help you?
Oh, I feel crushed. I go home and cry.
I felt it was a little rough there. So that's all I'm asking.
No, actually, they're very good, and the Basecamp actually teaches you how to provide constructive criticism and feedback so that you don't actually crush someone. Because the goal is not to destroy someone's ego or confidence, but to say, hey, here's the things that you did well. Here's where you can improve. And, sometimes it's technology, like for me, I'm so used to giving PowerPoint presentations on medical topics, and that's my comfort zone, and that's my expertise as far as technology goes. Zoom is a new thing for me. So, a virtual background and the color's not showing up, and you're like, oh, how do I figure that out on the go? So you don't take it personally in any way. You realize what your strengths are, you realize where you can improve, and the feedback is really critical to get to the next step. And I think every speech that I've heard from the people that have spoken, it gets better every single time. So the bar is set higher and higher, and you just want to say, okay, I want to do that too. The table topics are awesome. Donnell did a great job today, and they're always challenging because it's on the spot, it's impromptu, and you have no idea what you're going to say. So it helps you with that elevator pitch type conversation you have to have when you're at work, which is really good.
The other thing you have to remember, Lois, is that as you speak or when you join Toastmasters, you're also going to become an evaluator. So you're going to be thinking of ways that you can help whatever speaker you're evaluating to improve their speech. And by doing that, it also helps you to become a better speaker because you're looking at it through both eyes, you as the speaker and you as the evaluator. So it's a handoff. And the more you do it, just like anything else in life, the better we become. And as Tyler says, it builds our skills. And that's the main thing that we're trying to achieve, is to build our skills in public speaking.
I actually see it too as a way to enhance even your listening skills, because you're actually having to, one of the things I've recently read talks about being an active listener, especially in medical field, is really, really important. And I also appreciate it for that aspect of this too, not only for the speaking aspect, but you're going to have to learn how to be a really good active listener.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one of the things that you should remember, because I think Lois said, the evaluation was a little bit rough. What we do in Toastmasters, it is a supportive environment. It's a safe place for you to make the mistakes so that you can improve. And that's one of the things that I think you need to really understand, is that the evaluations are there to make you better. And it may have seemed like they were going off the cuff. They're not. You mentioned, Lois, about the structure. There's an evaluation form that really goes through, okay, what did this person do well? And it has categories. What did this person need to improve on? How do you challenge yourself? And for each speech, the evaluation is tailored to that level. You're not going to have the same type of evaluation as, and we call it in pathways, level 5, which is you are basically almost finished with that pathway. You're not going to have the same evaluation as you would for your first icebreaker speech. Okay, so you really, when we talk about your first speech, your icebreaker speech, you really are talking about yourself. It is a way for the club to get to know you. However, when you get into level 4 and level 5, they're research-based projects. They're different things that you're being evaluated on. So I think one of the things about it, and I think you said you were looking for some more information on the structure. And I know Earl said he was going to send some things to you. Also, even though you're not a member of Toastmasters yet, go to toastmasters.org and you can see, that's the website, and you can see some of the things that we're talking about, and you'll be able to understand a little bit more about, okay, I get the structure, I get what they're doing, and you'll see a lot of testimonials of how people were very, very scared when they first started talking, and how they became very competent, very confident in their speaking. I mean, there are people on the website that you will see, this person was the International Toastmaster of the Year, whatever. And these people, when they first showed up, they didn't want to say anything and they didn't want to do anything. But as they got more comfortable, they got better. So
Thank you.
I hope that helps.
It does.
In my job, I work as a facilitator for a lot of different things. I teach different classes, both about technical things and about intangible things like teamwork and things like that. And so for me, when you get used to doing things the same all the time, you kind of get into this groove and you forget that there are different ways to do things. So for me, when I come to Toastmasters and I get different projects and things that pull me out of my comfort zone, it keeps me on my toes and keeps me from falling into a rut of doing things the same way all the time. And then I was concerned about evaluations too. I was like, I don't know how to really provide what kind of feedback, but what it is when you learn about evaluations, you get set up for different things to look for. Like they tell you, pay attention to vocal variety, pay attention to movement, so you're given instructions on when you do an evaluation, this is what to look for. So you're not just kind of left hanging in the breeze feeling like you don't know what you're supposed to be looking for.
Thank you.
So is this the Virginia Beach? I'm looking at the website right now on my phone. Technology is great, and having a whole bunch of ways to look at technology. So is this the Virginia Beach Club?
No, it is not. The name of our club is PG Articulators.
PG okay.
Yeah.
I thought she was asking about like where the club is based out of, not the name.
Right.
So if I do go online and it's asking like if I want to join an online meeting to join this particular group, do I have to specify that, or is it something that if you join that it's going to send you to a different group?
For that feature on the website, I think it's just asking if you want to join a meeting in general, and then it'll pull you on your location and just sort of throw whatever clubs that are near you.
Okay.
That we'll put you on our mailing list. Any other questions?
Earl, can you talk a little bit about the speech contest?
Right. So in the past, pre-COVID, we would have a club contest usually around the end of February, beginning of March. And then the winner of the club contest will compete at the area level, and then so on and so on. And then I believe all the district winners go to the International Championship of Public Speaking, which was virtual this year, but previously they'll send you wherever the international convention is. Like this year it was actually supposed to be in Paris. So
You go to region first.
Okay. So all the region winners go. All right.
Right.
So all region winners, they get flown out to say Paris, where the international convention is, and then they compete. For that one, it's just international speech, which is 5 to 7 minutes on any topic. And then there's usually a second contest to go along with it, but that does not go beyond the district level. And this year it's Tall Tales. So I've never seen tall tales, but it's a 5 to 7 minute tall tale. You make up.
Yeah, I was reading that on the website and I was like, what does that mean?
Tall tales can be completely a fabrication, or it can be a mixture of fabrication with facts. And usually those are the best types because you're not sure if this is truly a tall tale or if it's, did this really happen? And I do think on the website, you can see some tall tales, or they give you criteria regarding the tall tales. But that's a lot of fun. The
Like
tall
Paul
tale time.
Bunyan or Pecos Bill lassoing a tornado.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions?
And if we wanted to get involved, do we sign up through the Toastmasters website? Do we tell you, are we having a club contest within
Yes.
us first? What's
So Tyler and I will put together a committee to run the contest, and then we'll have our club contest first. And the winner
I
of
think
the-
one of the things that Earl, Michelle suggested, there's somebody else, another, I think it's New Horizons that's doing or was it New Beginnings?
New Beginnings, I think.
Yeah, New Beginnings. That's doing kind of a dry run for a club contest. The issue and what's going on right now, the district, the division, and the area directors, all of the division executive committee, because of the fact that this club, the contest this year is going to be completely virtual, we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we change that? Because it's always been in person before. And so this year, you're really kind of turning things on its head. And you're really trying to say, okay, now, how do we conduct this virtual contest where it will be fair, it will be, people will be able to take advantage of their strengths like they did before. And that's, I think one of the things I did was I sent out an email to all the club presidents saying, hey, do you have anybody that really wants to sit on this committee? So it's not really, while there's certain rules that are going to be in place, we wanted to make sure that all of the members had an opportunity to have input in that. So into the process, what we should do, because we want to do it in a standardized method for the entire district.
So it sounds like you're gonna compete, Sahani.
I don't think I know enough to be on a committee and evaluate as of yet. But yeah, I'll throw my hat in the ring and I'll compete and see what happens.
So Earl, don't you still have to have X amount of speeches in order to compete in the international? I don't think that's changed.
I
think you got to be level 3.
Right, you have to be a level 3.
Point.
So
look at that.
Yeah, you can keep that in mind and build up to your level 3 by the time the contest is in February.
I appreciate your confidence in me. I didn't think I was going to get to that level. I was just going to go at the club level.
I think level 2 is pretty quick.
Yeah,
you have one more level to go. Don't shortchange yourself. You have time.
Okay, any other questions?
Earl, I had sent you a chat regarding recording my speech. I know the entire, looks like from the recording that the entire meeting is recorded. Is there any way for me to just get that segment?
Off of the YouTube channel, you mean?
From the recording of our meeting.
This one?
No, next time. I'm speaking next time.
Well, you can download the whole recording. And there are apps where you can chop up the video and cut out the part you want. But you'd have the whole meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thanks, everybody. So Miss Jessica, Miss Lois, I'll send you that information here shortly.
Thank
We have a
you.
good weekend.
Okay.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Bye.